Miami hot, 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 fire. Miami's hot, 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 fire. Yes. She's back. She is back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm sorry, I keep checking my mic. I'm totally going to get a new setup soon, and I mean soon. I got a new chair that's coming in for this deal. And I'm trying to budget it where the math is mathing as far as getting things together. So you're going to get more of a different setup when it comes to these reviews. But anyway, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And this is the review for the premiere of the Real Housewives of Miami. Going to Miami and being Miami. So, as you can tell, I'm super excited. This is literally the first Real Housewives show when I first started watching the show that I got into. The reboot. I never watched the original versions of Miami, but the reboot. And when I tell you this franchise has been eating it and leaving no crumbs. I've been going to all the other ones afterwards because I don't know if I shared this before in one of the first videos I have for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I also have that up too, or should have that up soon for the second episode. But anyway, well, I bring that up because the Real Housewives of Miami got me to enter the chat, and then I went back to watch all the other ones when the world was not quite back to business as usual, if you will. Anyway, but without further ado, let's get into it. This is Real Housewives of Miami, Season 6, Episode 1, Nuevos, Horizontes. Child, I used to actually be able to speak Spanish, and I haven't utilized that skill in almost 20, well, actually now it's 20 years. Yeah, it's gone. But basically, this means New Horizons in English. But anyway, the episode does start with a flashback to where they left off, which was at New York, their reunion, the Season 5 reunion. And they go into all the tension that has occurred with that reunion with the group. And most of the tension came from people being upset with Alexia. Because Alexia was doing the most last season. And she was beefing with literally half of the cast. It was like, she was almost unbearable, but still the show was so enjoyable, it didn't matter. But she's now in her confessional reflecting how she acted, and she's showing remorse about how, it was. And I don't know. Okay. I feel bad. So when I be seeing some of these people who are on the show, they're a little bit more of like a stronger personality that are leaning into being the villain. I have a tough time knowing if you're really sorry for your behavior or you're mad at the backlash, so you're turning it around because of the backlash. And I guess this season we'll find out which one it is, because actions will speak much louder than words when it comes to this. But for now, let's pretend that she really does have remorse. Because I don't know. I'm not trying to side-eye her, but I'm kind of sideing her just because I'm confused. But anyway, so to put in detail what happened last season before we move forward a little bit here, she ended up having issues with Dr. Nicole. They went back and forth, and I'm not even sure why they went back and forth. It seemed really silly about the things they're going back and forth over. Well, no, I do remember. Alexia is very opinionated, and she is very much, I'm right, everyone else is wrong. That's kind of how she has been on the show from forever. Like that's kind of her personality. It's kind of her thing. And so clearly that doesn't work when you have people with different opinions, right? Okay. So her and Dr. Cole got into it last season. During the reunion out of nowhere, she threw Lisa under the bus, and so they got into it. And I think that's where she started to feel a way about how she felt herself, if she really does feel remorseful. I think it was really the Lisa thing that made her feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing too much. And Lisa is a person who is in the middle of a horrible divorce. So you can imagine how that came across on TV. Not good. Also, she was beefing a little bit with Gurney. That did not read well either, because Gurney is our black main girl on the show. She's Haitian and amazing, and she really doesn't beef with anyone. Like, she's kind of a nice person on the show. She doesn't have that. She doesn't go into energy like, ugh. So they had beef because of, and that stemmed from Gurney was supposed to be the event planner for her wedding. And the way that ended was kind of not the nicest. And so that's where their issues come from. And then Alexia also beefed with Julia over, basically, Alexia was stereotyped her because Julia's Russian, and kind of stereotyped her. And they got into a real big fight over that. And then also because Julia is best friends with Adriana, that also led to issues there. And also, with that being said, Alexia also was beefing heavily with Adriana. Adriana is a friend of, but she's one of the originals of the show before the reboot. So everyone, those who are familiar with the show knows who she is, because she's kind of a heavier friend of than being like a full-time. Like, she doesn't give friend of energy because she was on the show before, if that makes sense. And she's on there a lot. And there's a couple other people that are on this show that are friends of, but there's only one that's truly a friend of that never has been a cast member. So she really does give a little bit more of a friend of energy. Whereas the others that are friend ofs used to be full-time cast members, and they were pretty much demoted down to friend of for the reboot, because it was like a soft reboot. It wasn't a full-on reboot. They kept some of the older cast and added some new people and made some of the old cast who were the main cast into friends of, and they've been rocket up and running ever since. Anyway, so Alexia in her confessional is still reflecting and saying she admits she has not been in a good space, and she also thinks maybe the reason why things happened the way they did is because others were also not in a good space. Not necessarily with each other, but just with themselves or whatever they have going on in their lives. And so she wants to put an event together called the name of the episode, to start fresh, start new, and to bring the people together. This is how the shows be. That's just how they are. That's just the formula. That's just what they do. Let's clear the air. She wants everyone to bring their spouses or partners there too, so that everyone's there and it's a celebration. Okay. So they fast forward on the show to the actual event that she threw, and it shows Julia going off on someone, stating, that they're the problem. And then Marisol is being super dismissive. It appears they're going off on each other, but we don't know what's happening yet because they kind of fast forwarded, so you don't know what's really happening. So kind of giving you a foreshadow of what's to come. And everyone around the party, at this party, appears to be super exhausted. Anthony, which is Dr. Nicole's fiance, is like, I thought we were here to have a good time. And everyone's leaving, just like not happy. So they fast forward to the event. And so then after that, then they go back to 1 week before the event. And this is where Alexia is talking to her husband, Todd, about things and being reflective and just talking about like, hey, I want to put this event together to clear the air. I feel a lot of remorse for everything that I said. And I think a lot of us said things we shouldn't have said. And deep down, we all love each other. So I don't know why we did all that. You know, kind of just wanting to bury the hatchet. And Todd agrees. And Todd already even took his steps of apologizing because Todd himself had issues with Anthony, Dr. Nicole's fiance. He called him out of his name during the season. And so Todd does this video on IG, 9-minute, he does a 9-minute apology on IG and social media from everyone. And although everyone enjoyed the sentiment, like Alexia was like, I'm glad he apologized, but I just wish he wouldn't have done that in public like that. And even like Dr. Nicole's like, you know, the sentiment was great, but he could have just called. Like, what is this? And even like Larsa was like, I've done some pretty horrible things on the show. And yes, we know that, Larsa. We know that. We know that, Larsa. Anyway, she's like, I've done some horrible things on the show, but I have never done a 9-minute apology ever. So they're just kind of shading him and poking a little bit of fun with him in a confessional. But that pretty much concludes that scene. So then So then the next scene, we have Larsa and Marcus Jordan, Michael Jordan's son, and who is her new man. I don't know if I buy this, but anyway. And then Lisa and her new beau, Jody. It's Jody. And they're all on a yacht. So Miami, just being on this beautiful yacht, just chilling, having a good time. And Larsa's explaining her relationship between her and Marcus. And the producer is asking the professional, how does she feel about the gossip? And Larsa is just always the queen of controversy. She is someone who always, I feel like she loves the attention. She is just, I want to like Larsa. Actually, I don't want to like Larsa. I don't like Larsa. Sorry, I'll just say that. I don't like Larsa. And the further along we'll go on this review, you'll see that I kind of don't like Larsa. I try to be fair, but I knew of Larsa before this show. And for those who don't know, Larsa still goes by Larsa Pippen, by the way. Even now she's dating her her ex-husband's former teammate's son. You know, from the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls. So maybe because I'm a Chicagoan, I feel an extra way about all this. But also, too, I just find Larsa very annoying. If you watch the original show, she was not a nice person on the show originally. I only seen clips of the original show. And also, too, she does not look the same. I should warn you. She doesn't look the same. She's had a lot of work done. I'm not shaming it, but maybe because I don't care for her, I'm throwing it out there a little bit more. Anyway, let's move on. But so she basically gives her stereotypical, I don't care, people are gonna talk about me. Like, that's just, that's her. And Lisa shares that she kept her wedding ring, because I think Larsa actually asked her, did you keep a wedding ring? Because Lisa had a big rock. I mean, it was huge because she was dating a plastic surgeon, one of like the major plastic surgeons in Miami. And so, well, not dating, she was married for a long time to the plastic surgeon. I don't know why I said dating, because one of the main storylines with Lisa is she is in the middle of a hellish divorce. And so who has helped see her through is her new beau, Jody. And Jody's stating that, he doesn't like that she still wears a ring, but he's there to support her because he knows divorce sucks, because he's also been divorced too, apparently. Lisa shares that in the confessional, that he's been such a huge support and a rock to her through these hard times, and has kind of helped walk her through what happens with divorces. Basically, she's saying that the silver lining through his divorce is that she met Jody. Like, she actually has a man who truly cares for her. And it seems like he seems like a much better guy than Lenny, her ex. Lenny, last season, child, the way Lenny infuriated me and tried to play in everybody's face was just so blatant and disrespectful about how much he really did not care about his wife or his family. I was cussing him out last season watching this show. So disrespectful, so rude, so rude, so rude. Let me know where that's from. It's from another Real Housewives show. Anyway, so she does mention that she got the ring resized to being in the middle finger, so she has to look people off. And also, she did say the ring doesn't mean a thing. Like, the ring don't mean a thing. The ring don't. Y'all know where that's from. Y'all better know where that's from, people who watch Real Housewives. But anyway, so the scene closes with Larsa asking Lisa, hey, do you need help looking for a house or a condo or apartment? And she's like, yeah, when that happens. And Lisa kind of implies that she's still in the house, which makes sense because they're still fighting over the prenup. Because she's contesting the prenup. And also, too, if she leaves that house, which is very, very valuable and probably a lot of the equity, aka coins, she will be basically surrendering the house if she leaves the house. So, yeah, that makes sense why she would still be in the house. Also, the other thing I would say about this scene, I don't know Lisa too well on this show because I really I didn't really watch the original show, and I really really tuned into this show like last season, especially. Started really watching the show, but I start watching towards the end of the season before, but not enough to really know about Lisa to know how I feel about her as a person. But I know no one deserves what she's going through divorce-wise, because her ex-husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband, was so disrespectful. I mean, so disrespectful. And I just hope, though, that she's not leaning too heavily on Jody. Like, I really would love for her to find her own identity and find her own voice, because she was so dependent on Lenny, which is why this divorce is going to be hell for her. I don't want her to put herself in another position where it's the same thing happening again. I think she really needs to. I think it will do her such a great service if she was to really focus on working on herself more. And hopefully she's getting therapy for all this, because this is a lot. All right, so we go on to the next scene here, and we have Dr. Nicole and Anthony, her fiance. They're in their home that they just purchased towards the end of last season, or around the end of last season. So they sold a really mega large home. Because, by the way, Dr. Nicole and Anthony, her fiance, her fiance is his major attorney, and Nicole is a doctor. And they have businesses outside of that, so they got the coins. So everyone on this cast, they're bringing all the ambiance. the money is long, and it's if you're into these shows for the ambiance and like the rich and famous of it all, they're the ones to be looking at. And the fact is that Dr. Nicole is like younger. She's in her 30s. And so she's in her prime. Beautiful Cuban girl. Amazing. Anyway, I just wanted to share that little tidbit. But they're in their home, which their home that they just purchased is for $21.5 million. You know what I can do with that money and still be okay? Yeah. Anyway, this is a 6-bedroom house that they're in and 6 bathrooms. They have, I'm going to skip around a little bit on this scene because I want to tell you about the house a little bit because real estate kind of intrigues me, and also because I am also house hunting myself right now, /condo/apartment hunting. It intrigues me a little bit more right now. But they have a 15-car garage, and then this size of this house is 10,500 square foot. Like, you can be on the other side of the house and I don't ever need to see you. That's how big that house is. What? And the outside of it is right along the water, right along the area. I'm not sure where what water that is. I'm assuming it's the ocean, but it's like on the corner, just right there in the water. I was like, but anyway, the house interior wise is not the nicest. It ain't ugly. It's not beat down by no means, but some zhuzh could be added to it, if you will. So they basically brought this house and they want to remodel it. So basically, about the time they're done with this house, the house is going to be worth more than what it even is right now, which is ridiculous. Because that's kind of, I think, what they did with the last house. They remodeled it, made it worth a lot of money, and then flipped it and moved on to this one. So now they're at this one. And in the meantime, while they are working on this giant remodel project, they are staying in their vacation home because they have a vacation home. And the producers asked Dr. Nicole, like, hey, where's the wedding? When's the wedding going to happen now? Because they had an engagement party last season. And she's like, well, we're pushing it back. You know, we're both just really, really busy. We took on this large remodeling project. Our child, Grayson, is getting older and kind of becoming a handful, and our job. So not the priority. So we probably won't be getting wedding this season, spoiler. I mean, she kind of already stated the wedding's not going to happen probably this season. Maybe next season. We'll see. But anyway, and she is full-time practicing still as a doctor. So it's not like she just is a doctor by like having a doctorate. Like, she has a whole entire 9-to-5 job, but not really a 9-to-5 job because doctors don't have 9-to-5 jobs. So, I mean, she's still working. So, and so is he, along with like their investments and everything else they have going on. So, hustling real hard. But Gurney pays him a visit because Gurney was already in the neighborhood. And so they go to sit outside to kind of just have a conversation about how they've been and who they've talked to within the group since the reunion. And Gurney mentions that she's talked to Julia via text, mainly on what's going on with Martina, which is Julia's wife. Spoiler alert for those who have not watched the show: Julia is the first official lesbian housewife, and her wife Martina. You know, the tennis player, Martina. Like the major tennis player. But Gurney mentioned she's been talking mainly to Julia about her wife, which, foreshadowing, a little bit foreshadow here. And you'll find out towards the end of the episode here. Anyway, So Dr. Nicole states that she talked to Larsa since New York, which Gurney was completely shocked by because Dr. Nicole was the one that was beefing with Larsa. Well, Dr. Nicole was also beefing with Alexia, but she was mainly beefing with Larsa. And it was over, Larsa was spreading rumors about Dr. Nicole sleeping around. And, with doctors and stuff like that, which could be extremely damaging to her career. So for good reason, they weren't really cool. I'm actually so Gurney and I actually had the same reaction when she said she actually talked to Larsa, because I could never be friends with someone again who's literally trying to sabotage my career or livelihood like that. Just saying, there's really no me being cool with you again. I know we have a show to film, but I can still just pay you dust. I can just be, friendly, nasty towards you. Just saying. Anyway, so Gurney shares that she's actually not in a good place with Larsa, which is kind of bizarre because Gurney and Larsa, up until, no one knew that they weren't good because they've been good the whole time. So they actually go back. So while this thing is happening, we pan back to Lisa and Larsa still on the yacht. And Larsa sharing similar sentiments to Lisa about how her and Dr. Nicole have buried the hatchet. They're good. They're not besties, but they have an understanding now. And they both kind of took accountability that the words were a little too much. Some of the things they were saying to each other was a little bit too much. I kind of have a tough time believing that a little bit because I've never seen Larsa on the show actually say sorry or take accountability. But they both said it happened, so fine. Anyway, but then Larsa mentions to Lisa, like, hey, me and Gurney, we're not good. And so Larsa shares with Lisa, like, Gurney called me fake. And so it pans over to a podcast or kind of some type of live show podcast that Gurney was on. And they asked, of course, a Shady Boots question of which housewife of all the housewives most fake, and she said Larsa. And so they pan back. So that's why Larsa's upset with Gurney. But then we pan back over to Gurney, and Gurney's like, we're not good. And Dr. Cole's like, is it after the text that you received from her? Of course, Larsa neglects to mention that she sent a really nasty text to Gurney after that podcast. So Gurney's not talking to her anymore because of that nasty response, the comment that she had and sent to her. She's not talking to her about it. And Gurney's like, I don't have energy for this. I have a lot going on, both personally and professionally. I don't have time. And the way she was saying it, Dr. Nicole caught it and noticed that she seemed a little flustered saying it. And for previous seasons, when you see Gurney is about her business and she's usually just laser focused. Nothing usually phases her. So it was kind of odd to see Gurney being a little shaky a little bit. And so Dr. Nicole's like, are you okay? Something seems a little off with you. And Gurney's like, she did share that, she went to the gynecologist, for normal checkup. All was good. And then her doctor called her and then mentioned, hey, I think you need to come back in here. We need to look at something else. And it turns out Gurney is having some soreness with one of her boobs, unusual soreness apparently. And so she did some additional tests and now she's waiting on the results basically. And Dr. Nicole reassures her, I'm sure it's nothing. Hormones, things like that can, cause soreness and things like that, which is true. And also too, and then Dr. Nicole was literally asking the questions as a doctor. She's like, was it shortly after a period? Like asking like the questions that a doctor would know to ask. And Grady's like, no, it was none of those things. And so, yeah, but Dr. Nicole's like, hey, it still might be just something odd. You might just have something going on, but it's probably nothing, trying to reassure her, don't weigh too heavy on it. Everything should be okay. Okay, so in the next scene here, we have Julia at her house with Martina, and she shares in her confessional that they decided that they're going to hold off on the adoption because last season they were considering adopting another child because Julia has empty nest syndrome. She wants, to have more kids. And Martina did agree to that towards the end of last season. But that was put on hold, and for good reason. Martina, towards the end, actually at the reunion, it was discovered that Martina ended up getting throat cancer and breast cancer, and this is her second time having breast cancer, so it came back. So clearly Martina's health was a priority over everything else. And Martina is in this, is in the room with her. They're actually in the kitchen. And as much as I want to take their scene so seriously, it's funny at the same time because they just have this goat that's here. And the goat poops everywhere. And when you see goats pooping, it's kind of weird because it's like little pebbles, just like, looks like marbles. And Julia's trying to put a diaper on the dog. And it's a whole thing. They're in the kitchen. And for those who aren't aware, Julia and Martina live on a farm. They have a main house. It looks amazing, looks gorgeous, looks awesome. But they also have farm animals. So they have chickens, they have goats, they have a whole thing. And the goat is like a pet goat that just is in the house. I don't understand it. It could never be me. But it's funny. It's kind of nice and a light thing happening while they're talking about stuff that's super serious. So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, so Martina still is not looking like her best, unfortunately, because she lost 20 pounds since her diagnosis because of the fact that it was throat cancer. Clearly they had to do something to prevent that or get rid of it. So as a result, she's on a liquid diet and has been on a liquid diet. And I'm not sure how much longer she's going to have to be on this liquid diet, but it's going to be for some time. And so Julia does share a confessional the great news that it appears that both cancers, they caught it on time, so it seems like it's in remission. So hopefully it stays that way. And so they caught it on time and they're handling it. So that's the good news. But Julia also shares with Martina that Alexia's been reaching out to check in on Martina, but then also just, she did apologize to her, and she also offered the olive branch to meet up with her for lunch. So Julia mentioned she's going to go ahead and do that, meet up with Alexia for lunch, just to test the waters. Alexia actually already did apologize. She apologized in New York about the things that she said. So she didn't waste any time. She did apologize to Julia right away. It wasn't as long of a grudge as all the other people that she was beefing with. And according to Julia, because of the fact that Alexia has been showing up and, really giving full-on support with what's going on with Martina, her actions is showing support and remorse. So she's willing to give her another chance and really get to know her. Because they don't really know each other because Julia is fairly new to the cast. And so they really haven't really built a foundation for any friendship yet. They just have started off from the wrong foot, kind of from the jump a little bit though. So yeah. Anyway, so as like they're talking and having this serious conversation, by the way, though, this goat is literally yelling. And when I mean yelling, it sounds like a child. She's like, ah! 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 Like it's just there, just ah! And as much as I'm trying to focus on the scene and what they're talking about, this goat is such a distraction. It was kind of funny. It was cute. Anyway, so the next scene we saw. Lisa at her home getting glammed up and getting ready to go to her first in-person deposition, unfortunately, because they haven't been able to settle outside of that. So now she's going to the deposition, and Jody's giving her advice because Jody's there, and he's like, hey, kind of letting her know what to expect, along with her attorney being there, because she's, of course, she's leaving with her divorce attorney. And she's, of course, wanting to avoid going to court and leaving it to the judge, to state what the fate is of everything. Because as I shared in the previous scene with him, she is contesting the prenup, and so is getting dragged on as a result. And Winnie is not a nice person, so we'll see if this ever ends. I'm not sure. I feel like at this rate, and I don't know if maybe I'll get a spoiler at the end of the season, I feel like Kenya Moore will get a divorce before she does. Anyway. So next we have Marisol, looking good, by the way. She actually looks a little bit healthier than she's been looking. I don't really have any opinion when it comes to Marisol, but I just will say this. Typically, Marisol usually looks like, she kind of looks almost frail to me, but in this scene, she actually looks okay. So I was like, okay, it looks like she's been taking care of herself and been giving herself a break a little bit. Cool. But anyway, I just wanted to make that comment because even though I may not see it for someone or may not have an opinion of someone, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. And she's looking all right. But so we have Marisol, Alexia, and Kiki. Do you love me? Are we riding? Getting drinks. Kiki is a friend of, and she brings the comedy. So I love that we went from one scene that was almost unintentionally funny to a little bit of a serious scene to now a funnier scene because Kiki's just hilarious. She brings it as usual. She's talking about her dating life and how she's just ready to see all the minions and see all the rhymes with rocks. I didn't know Black people say that word. But it's the male, anatomy. I'm not going to say the word because I don't even like how that word sounds. It sounds so dirty. But anyway, she was saying it over and over again. She's like, I want multiple rocks. Anyway, so after small talk and a little bit of the comedic relief there, Alexia shares her idea of bringing the girls together. And Kiki asks who's all invited. The same question I would ask. And she, Alexia says everybody. But then Kiki's like, so Adriana's invited too? And then Alexia is like, I'm not ready to do that yet. And so what happened there, because I think I did state that her and Adriana got into it in New York at the very beginning when I was saying everyone she got into it with. To add more color to it, and Adriana's beefing actually with both Alexia and Marisol. Two different reasons. So Alexia made the fatal mistake during the season because Adriana is super, 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 super dramatic. Almost team too much dramatic. I don't know if I could be friends with someone like her. Full transparency. But she seems to have a good heart. She doesn't mean ill will with her dramatics. And so apparently she hurt herself on one of the trips. And when I mean hurt, she probably just like, it was equivalent to like a stub of a toe. Not breaking the toe, but a stub of a toe, like, ooh, dope. And next thing you know, she has a whole entire boot on her, like her leg. Not just the foot, the whole leg. And so she compares her injury to Alexia's son's permanent brain injury. Yeah, in this case, unfortunately, Alexia was not wrong in how she felt about that. I kind of was a little bit on Alexia's side, like, friend, that was not a good comparison. Why would you do that? So, of course, Alexia was super offended. And so they are not cool as a result. And so these three are like the main OG cast members that have been friends and known each other for a super long time. So anyway, this whole thing did not go over well. And then Marisol's beef with Adriana is that during the season, she stated that her ex-husband tried to date. So Marisol's ex-boyfriend tried to date Adriana, and then she wrote this shady note during the reunion about kind of joking about Marisol's alcohol overusage, because full transparency, that's kind of why I said at the very beginning of this scene, Marisol looks good because she doesn't look like she's drunk. She actually looks like she has some meat to her because she's not drinking. She looks like she's actually eating food instead of drinking. So Marisol does not really want her there either at Alexia's event, and Marisol and Alexia are the best friends. So they kind of are like freaking frack. Like, if you see one, you see the other. I mean, it is what it is. Like, even the Ultimate Girls Trip, like, they were there together on the last season of Ultimate Girls Trip, for those who have watched that show. But Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3. Next, we pan back over to Lisa, and it looks like they finished with the deposition. She's leaving the courthouse. She calls Jody on her way home and shares what happened. And it seems like all the questions that Lenny's attorneys were asking were based upon getting temp support, temporary support in order. So basically, Lenny is dragging this. He's dragging it on. So instead of getting full-on support, spousal support, they're trying to get a temporary grant of support while they still try to figure out this stupid prenup thing. And Jody's like, you guys have spent so much money already. She's like, I'm not trying to do this. Like, I don't want to spend all this money. But I think what Lenny's trying to do, and I hope this isn't true, but it seems like just off the paper, because he's not the smartest man in the tool shed. He seems like he thinks he's the smartest man in the room, but he seems just like an egotistical maniac. It seems like he is just trying to dry her out or exhaust her and drive her crazy so that she caves. He seems very okay with just doing this forever. And she doesn't want to do it forever, clearly. She wants to get what is owed to her, which is more than probably what that prenup originally said, considering what all she went through. I mean, honestly, if it goes to court, I feel like all Lisa would need to do partially, she just needs to send the show over to, she could send the show over to the judge, because Lenny told him himself on the show, like all last season, and he thought he didn't have a mic on, but he had a mic on, literally saying it all, being just like a horrible person about it. So by the way, in the Lisa scene, she actually did, while she was talking about everything was going on divorce, she actually receives a call in the confessional with Lenny, And Lenny is supposed to be paying that temporary support via Venmo. And so she's getting evidence that Lenny's still being difficult. That's kind of the other reason why I mentioned she literally can use this show. If they end up having to go to court, she has evidence just from this show alone. And I'm pretty sure the producers can give her all the footage that didn't make it to air. Because at the end of the day, she's a housewife. She's a star of this show, not Lenny. And he's just been all around not a nice person about it. And I don't think it will be that difficult. Just saying. Okay. Next, we see Julia meeting Alexia for lunch, which I never thought would see that because they were definitely not getting along, but she did. So Julia definitely took Alexia on the offer, and they seem to be enjoying themselves. They're doing some fun small talk, talking about sex, and then Julia mentions that Cardi B made a comment about Larsa during the reunion because Larsa said something that was so unreal and not real life, saying that she has sex 4 times a day, every single day. And Cardi B was like, no, you don't. Cardi B's like, girl, you lying. Just like everyone else was like, girl, you lying. No one's doing that. No. No one has time to do that every day. So, yeah. So they were joking about that and just enjoying themselves. And so then Alexia mentions a party and to Julia and about wanting to invite her to the party. And Julia immediately shares her thoughts about it and asks about, is Adriana invited? And of course, Alexia initially is like, no, but she puts it, and this is where I was kind of like, I side-eye Alexia a little bit. Because you put it all on Marisol. She did not own the fact that she did a little bit, but she put a lot more stank on the fact that Marisol doesn't want her there as an excuse versus just saying like she also didn't really want her there. But Julia actually gives her reason. She's not speaking on emotions, literally giving her reason. She's like, look, if you really want to start fresh and new, it's going to look a way that you invite everyone but one person. So I love that she said that because it also leaves it for if Alexia is doing this, not truly being real about wanting to start fresh, but doing it for the look. By Julia saying that, she literally is saying, look, it's not going to look good if you do that. So either way, whether you mean it or not, you probably should really try to fix that. Your issue with her is your issue with her. Marisol's issue with her, she can address that. She's a grown woman. Essentially, she didn't say it that way, but she pretty much meant that in the confessional because Julia in the confessional, she was like, I don't like this emotional manipulation that Marisol's doing. Because she basically called it emotional manipulation because Marisol did say in the scene before, and I forgot to mention it, she said if Adriana comes to the party, she's not going. And she thinks that's not fair. Which, it isn't. It really isn't. Like, Marisol, if you want to resolve things, you can call Adriana and clear the air and go to the party. Or just be a grown woman. Like, okay, I'll just say this real quick. And those who know me know me. No one is stopping me from going to anything. Nobody. When I don't care for someone, the way I could just pretend they don't exist and still go to where I need to go, I'm not even lying. I can do that. It's a non-issue. If I want to be somewhere, I'd be damned if you're going to stop me from going to where I need to go. I don't care. If Now, if it's everyone there I don't like, that's a whole nother thing. But if it's an event and it's just one person who I don't care for, but everyone else who's there is my friend or someone who I deal with, I'm going to that event. Especially if it's something I want to go to. I can pretend that you are not there. It's not that hard. I don't know. To me, I don't think that's like a hard thing to do. Or if that person comes and approaches me and talks to me, I'll say hi. I'm not going to make a scene, but I'm also not going to tell you any of my business. And it's going to be the most shortest of highs, the most driest of highs that you'll get. So you'll at least know, the person will know that I ain't really messing with them, but it's not going to be dramatic. It's not going to be extra. I'm not going to make a scene. I don't know. We're adults. There's going to be people that you're around that you don't like and you just got to deal with them. It's called life, friends. Just saying. So after Julie says that to Alexia, she does have a slight change of heart and she does say, hey, okay, I'm going to talk to Adriana. I promise you I'm going to talk to Adriana and, address her separately and make the effort. But I can't guarantee that I'm going to invite her. Let me first reach out to her individually and see what it is. And 24 hours later, she did. She invites Adriana to lunch, and Adriana right away, I'm like, girl, I want to root for you. I want to be on your side so bad because you are a nice, friendly person, but you just do the most, and it is so annoying. And the reason why I'm saying this is she literally shows up on the scene with a giant white flag at the restaurant just doing this as she's walking towards the table. And Alexia and I literally have the same look. We're like, say what now? And then right away, Alexia clocks her, is like, why do you always bring a prop though? Just like, oh my gosh. That's what I was thinking, like, why the prop? What is this? And I guess in real life, if I'm really beefing with someone and we used to be friends and we really have a serious conflict, why would I bring a goofy prop? Why would you come into the place being that goofy when y'all are not on the best of terms and you're trying to terms and patch things up? This is my problem with Adriana. I want to like her, but she does not know how to read the room to save her life. Because even I was like, what are you doing? Because let me just circle back to last season. Alexia was unbearable last season, right? But the way Adriana reacts a lot of times, she gives like Alexia validation where actually I almost sometimes side with Alexia and I don't want to because of the fact that Adriana just does too much. Like, she's so annoying, it makes her, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to side with her because she's being actually a mean girl, but you're doing so much that is annoying. That's like, this is like a stalemate. It's a stalemate. So I ain't gonna lie, when it came to a lot of the stuff that they had going on last season, part of me was stalemating because I was just like, Adriana, why do you not know how to read the room? If you would approach this differently, there would be no debate here. But because you do too much, you're making the debate be a thing. But anyway, I digress. Moving on. So they get right into it. They talk about the words that were said in New York. And they both kind of apologize for that. But then Adriana's like, and then Alexia's like, but what about your press run? Like, I thought we were good. And then you do that press run and you made it worse. And then Adriana's like, what about the IG post that you did prior to my press run? And I was like, how convenient, Alexia. You neglect to mention that you had a horrible, shady post on your IG, which led to Adriana doing that press run. Interesting. Anyway, so they go over kind of some things I mentioned before. The statement that she said about Frankie versus her injury, doing the non-comparable comparison, which made her so mad. And then what started it, though, was actually Alexia, because Alexia actually started this. That's the crazy thing. You would think, by the way Alexia tells it, it was Adriana that started this whole entire beef. It was really the other way around. So Adriana's like, well, what about you being all up in my business stating that this guy that I was dating was married when he wasn't married? Like, that was not true. Like, you were lying. You kind of made me seem like a homewrecker, and I'm not that. And then Alexia mentions in retaliation, kind of like, well, what about at the party when that guy confronts me about it? Like, yeah, given I was wrong, but like that guy confronted me like I was a man. And this is where they had a common ground right here. Because even I didn't like that either. I didn't like that the man was like really approaching her like that. I was like, child, that's not okay. Because the guy was like kind of coming at her like she's like a guy. And Adriana was like, I didn't like that he did that. I really didn't. Like, I kind of had a red flag for him as soon as he did that, because I was like, why are you talking to a woman like that? And so Alexia's like, so I was kind of right about him. He's not a good guy for you. She's like, yeah, you were kind of right about that. So I got rid of him as soon as all that happened. So that was enough where they were able to kind of, move forward a little bit there. So they talk things out. They don't squash the beef per se, but they come to an understanding, and they both decide they're going to try to work on rebuilding their friendship. And so Alexia mentions a party to Adriana and invites her. And Alexia's like, I guess I'll have to deal with it when it happens, the party that is, telling Marisol, but yeah, I'm going to invite her. And I think that's fair. If it's your party, you invite whoever you want for your party. Like, a true friend should not care who you're inviting. And if you really, really don't like who I'm inviting, okay, don't go, but like, don't make a scene about it either. Like, I don't know. Like, when it comes to this type of scenario, the party is a party. It's not like a little mini get together with like 5 people. It's like a party full of people in the room. So you literally could go the whole entire time not talking to each other. It would totally be fine. So fast forward, they're to the day of the party. Alexia FaceTimes Marisol and lets her know, hey, I did meet up with Adriana and we are okay enough where I did invite her to the party. And Marisol is not happy. She's very, very upset. She's like, well, I don't want to go now. Like, I'm almost ready. I don't want to go. But then Alexia presents a bombshell to her because Todd was supposed to come to the party. So her husband Todd was supposed to come to the party. I think probably forgot to mention that at the beginning. And, Alexia made it very known that she really wanted Todd to be there so they could, present as a united front, as a whole entire new horizon. So it's like across the board between the men and women. They're on this show that we're all starting fresh. So Alexia states Todd's not coming now. And then Marisol's asking why, and then she breaks down, starts crying like immediately. Todd stated to Alexia that he didn't want to attend because the apology video they put out there. He doesn't want to be potentially ridiculed for that. And he doesn't want that to be the subject of like their banter or back and forth, because he just sees all that happening. And then he also shares like, these people aren't your friends. And I don't know how I feel about this. You think Todd and her are gonna last? I mean, they haven't been together that long. But like, that energy on camera, you were all Mr. Positive, and then you just do this out of nowhere. I have a feeling we'll learn more of what's happening here, but that was quite confusing. Anyway, so because he's not coming, Marisol's like, I'll come, I'll support you, I'll be there for you. Because Alexi's like, I need you to be there. Because since he's not there, it's gonna look really crazy if both you and him are not there. I'm just gonna look like alone. And one thing I didn't notice this about Alexia until now. She's kind of dependent on other people a little bit. I didn't know that about her. I don't know. She's kind of hard to read in this first episode, I'll be honest, because her energy is not the same as it normally is for her. So I'm a little confused. I don't know what to think yet. But anyway, I'm just going to keep an open mind. Try to anyway. So next, we have Kiki, Adriana, and Julia in the car on the way to Alexia's party. Adriana is putting her foot in her mouth like she always does. AKA Team Too Much. And she says to the group she's glad she patched things up with Alexia, but she implies that she thinks that Alexia treats her like she's better than her. And so it sounds like it's giving Adriana, are you jealous of Alexia? I mean, 2 seasons ago, you were jealous of Larsa. You were giving jealousy energy of Larsa 2 seasons ago. I'm not really, Adriana, I'm gonna need you to get your insecurities in order and get that figured out and go to therapy. Because, is this why you're like extra like this? Because if so, you are too, you're a big girl in age, you really need to stop that. That ain't it. That's not it, friend. You gotta figure that out. Anyway, so as she's doing all this, Julia's like, we literally just patched things up, and why are you doing this? Because Julia's like kind of a little bit breaking the 5th wall. Like, God, why would you do this? We literally just patched things up for you to be saying what you're saying. Because it doesn't make sense. Like, why are you bad talking her after you just patched things up with her? Anyway, first to arrive at the party is Larsa and Marcus. And they're greeted by Frankie. And Frankie, he's just so cute. That's Alexia's grown son who's special needs now because of the car accident. I've always liked Frankie. Frankie's looking good. Like he's just such a good kid or adult. Pretty sure he's in his 20s. But anyway. So then next, Julia, Kiki, and Adriana appear. One thing I noticed is no one brought gifts to the guests of honor. I mean, no one brought gifts to like the host. Where'd they do that at? I'm just questioning that. Where do they do that at? I typically try to, especially now that my money isn't as funny as it used to be back in the day, I try to, if I go to someone's house, I try to bring something. I don't know. I think, is that not universal? Anyway, Julia brought her eggs to the party. No one else brought anything else. Like, she was the only one that brought anything. But anyway, Julia and Kiki and Adriana, they arrived at the party. I'm pretty sure I said that already, but we're repeating it, I guess. And then after that, then Lisa and Jody appear next. And Jody and Adriana start talking back and forth. Apparently, Jody lives in Adriana's old house from the original seasons of like Real Housewives of Miami. Well, small world. So they're talking back and forth about that, and Adriana has some funny banter when it comes to that. It's cute. And so, and then Jody's like, yeah, we've been thinking about inviting you over for dinner, which I think Adriana would appreciate that because, yeah. Anyway, Gurney and Dr. Nicole appear next. And everyone are coming with their men's. Like I'm kind of skipping the guys a little bit, but they're all coming with their their significant others, minus Julia. Julia did not come with Martina, but we know why. And immediately, Larsa her face just goes to screwed when she sees that Gurney's there, and I'm just kind of like, wow. Someone bothers you that much that your face just changes like that? That's crazy. To me, it is. Anyway, so Gurney is saying hi to everyone, but totally just pays Larsa dust. And Larsa's all offended. It's like, she called me fake. I think that's fake that you're not talking to me. Like, just being so annoying because she's so pressed. She's so pressed that Gurney paid her dust. She just could not take that. And I don't know, I would have double, triple down on that and just continue to pay her dust. Like, as she's talking to me, I would have just walked away. I'm petty. I could be petty. I'm working on it. I am. I promise I am. But like, Larsa, and the reason, okay, let me go into why Larsa irks me. Larsa is very throws her rocks, hide the hand type of girl. She can be aggressive, but she's also very passive aggressive. So my fun remedy for people who are passive aggressive is just passively aggressively act like you don't exist. Okay. I should stop that. I really should stop that. I should stop telling myself a little bit here. I gotta stop that. Anyway, so Larsa couldn't take it that long. Like, it didn't take long at all. Larsa goes up to her and interrupts her in the middle of her having conversations with others to say, why'd you call me fake? Why'd you call me fake? So the conflict is happening right away as soon as almost everyone's there. By the way, Marisol's not there yet, but everyone else is there already. And Gurney addresses Larsa shady. She's like, look, you're shady towards me during your confessionals when I was just trying to be a good friend to Lisa during her conflict with her marriage. And you also did not defend me during the reunion. And they panned the footages of both those things, and no lies told. Gurney was speaking truth, speaking facts. So Gurney's like, to me, that's not a friend. A friend wouldn't do those things. Like, you're telling me to keep my mouth shut when I'm just trying to be helpful to a friend who's also to our friend who's in need. And then during the reunion, when I'm trying to defend myself, you wouldn't even let me defend myself, and it wasn't even with you. It was with someone else that had nothing to do with you. And so she's right. And so, of course, Larsa doesn't address what she says, because Larsa's way of fighting is she does not address when someone mentions the actual issue. She goes around it. That's she's always goes around it. And so while all this is happening, the back and forth, Marisol does show up, and Marisol's shocked. She's like, I just got here. There's already a fight? Like, and I was like, yeah, girl, you already knew that this is how this rolls. And so Gurney cars out. So Larsa's getting more and more loud, and Gurney's like, you're getting aggressive, like, and loud. Like, I'm going to need you to, like, stop that. And she said it, like, Gurney wasn't raising her voice when it came to any of this stuff. Gurney's like, you're getting really loud. Like, you're getting loud and aggressive. I'm going to need you to stop that. And then Larsa's like, I'm matching your energy. Like, just... And so... Which was not true. She was not matching her energy. She was getting loud. Like, she was being called out. As the common thing with Larsa, this is the reason why I don't care for her or like her, and she makes a great villain for all the shows, is because she does not like being called out. And she ignores when she is being called out. And she always has a reason why she's doing something. No accountability. None. That's not her role. She doesn't know about that. Anyway, so Gurney is just over it and just walks away and lets her argue with herself. She's like, I'm done. Okay, nice seeing you all. Bye. Like, and so Gurney goes and hangs out with the boys. And as that's happening, Marisol's walking over there towards a group. Julia's shocked to see her, and kind of immediately shades her in the confessional, and then also states in the confessional that she clearly thinks that Marisol is the source of all the conflict with the ladies. She basically coins her as kind of what Larsa does really too, but like throws a rock, hides a hand. She thinks that is Marisol, and Marisol does it, but not as much as Larsa. I think Larsa does it more, but that's a whole other thing. But anyway, so Gurney asks about Adriana and her dating life, and Adriana is still being the comedic relief for the most part, saying like, it's just next. And I was like, girl, we see each other. Next. And then she's like, is that bad? She's like, no. I just don't know how to stay still. The cobwebs ain't going to happen here. And I was like, facts. I know, family, I know some of y'all are watching this, but it is what it is. We're all human. We have needs. Anyway, oh man, that's too much. So, Anthony is talking to the guys about one of his cars, and they put the value what that car was. It was like a Porsche. And I was like, woo, money long. And just like the singer, money long. And then as this is happening, they pan back over to the girls, and we see that there's a fire. And it's actually Dr. Nicole's purse that's on fire. And this is something I didn't know because I'm not a designer girl, but now I'm understanding it a little bit more through watching these shows. Her purse was on fire, but wasn't on flames. It just was a little bit damaged, had a little bit of a burnt mark, but like it wasn't like a hard burnt mark. It was like so light, and it was a white purse, or it was a light color purse. I don't remember if it was white or cream or what color it was, but all I know it was a light color purse. So you saw a little bit of a burn mark, but I just think to myself, if that was a cheap purse, that would have been in flames. But because it was like a Christian Dior purse, it just was had a little bit of a burn mark, and that was it. So, and also that purse was worth $6,500. Yeah, roughly 3 to 4 months worth of rent, depending where you live. Anyway, so everyone is starting to just ask about Todd to find like where is he? The way this was, I feel like this might have been edited kind of weird because the fact that everyone was asking at the same time and they weren't all in the same area, that was kind of odd. So that might be that might have been an editing thing that happened there. I will say that, full transparency, because that was just odd that everyone would literally ask at the same time. I feel like people would ask separately through different times of the day, of the night. Just in real life conversation at a party, you ask certain, if there's an elephant in the room, I don't feel like everyone asks the same elephant in the room at the same time. Like there's different times where people don't ask that. Just saying. So then next, Alexia does do a speech thanking everyone for coming and addressing the reason why they're having the party, and then just does a little bit of a cheer. But then right away she addresses the thing about why is Todd not there. And she was like, everyone's wondering where he's at, so am I. It came off super dramatic, and then she cleans it up real quick. She's like, we're not getting the divorce, because it kind of came off that way, like they were having problems in their marriage. But she did mention that Todd didn't feel comfortable being there because of, everything that's going on. So he decided to not be there because he just didn't want to be filmed for all that. He rather, the way she cleaned it up and said it the way she said it, because the thing is, Todd hasn't said how he felt about any of this stuff, not once. So it seems like in one instance she says to Marisol that, aggressive, they're not your friends, this, that, and this, and but then it just sounds like he just doesn't want to be filmed. It just seems like he doesn't want to be filmed. So I don't know which is which. Anyway, so she basically gives Todd credit, though, and she might have just said it to be nice for the party. So I don't know what that is. I think we'll find out next episode. But anyway, for her becoming reflective to Todd, and she does say specifically to Marisol that she's glad that she came. And then Julia, she chose a moment, and this is the moment she chose. She stated that she was surprised to the whole entire group that Marisol showed up. And then it literally was like, pin drop, record scratch. Everyone's like, say what now? And she states in front of the whole group that Marisol says she didn't want to be here. And states that she feels that while she is BFFs with Adriana and is a help to her, you're a harm to Alexia and you're toxic. Just gutter. I'm just like, where is this coming from? In the episode, it showed that was becoming a thing, but I still don't know really where it's coming from, because in the reunion, Julia and Marisol did not have direct issues with each other. It was indirect with Adriana and Marisol having issues, but also Alexia had issues with Adriana that was independent of what Marisol had issues with. So it's weird. I don't know how I feel about it, but whatever. Marisol's just in shock, and she's just like, that's not true. I'm a good friend to Alexia. Say something, Alexia. And Alexia was like, mute challenge, everybody on mute. Didn't say a word. And so in the confessional, she states hey, sometimes you gotta fight your own battles. And this is Alexia saying that in reference to this scene. And I'm like, Fran. Anyway, but you know what? Now that I thought of that, but then I just, okay. So she really probably didn't really feel that way, because I will say this, Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3, Alexia did mention to Marisol that she kind of does get irritated with Marisol just always being kind of underneath her all the time, just being kind of being dependent on her when it comes to everything, and won't fight her own battles. So this has actually been addressed before, but just not on this show. It was addressed during Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3. So I thought when I was watching it originally, I didn't remember that, but now that I'm talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, this was addressed before. So this is not a new topic. And it's kind of been said before outside of them two talking about it. But anyway, because at the end of the day, before I go on, Marisol is a friend of. So she's not going to be on the show if Alexia is not there. Because she has no storyline. Her role on this show is solely Alexia's best friend. She has nothing else going on as far as enough for her to be on the show other than that. Whereas like Adriana actually has storylines being on the show. Like they're kind of silly, but she be having a storyline. And Kiki kind of has a storyline about her dating. So I mean, after she's on mute, Marisol and Julia, they are continuing going back and forth. So bad that the men are like walking out of the room. Like the men are just like, Anthony was like, I thought this was supposed to be a good time. And so they walk away. And then as they're walking away, Alexia is walking with them to show them Todd's cigars for them to smoke the cigars on the balcony. And Gurney just can't take it anymore. She just yells. She's like, stop it, stop it, stop it. So she breaks it up. She's like, y'all need to stop this. Like, why do you guys think that this behavior is acceptable? Like, just kind of going off on them. And everyone was like, no. And so they stopped. And so there we see that Gurney, Adriana, Kiki, Lisa, and Julia walk away, and the argument's broken up. Alexia goes back to the couch and joins Dr. Nicole, Marisol, and Larsa, stating that she, like, okay, you had these issues, but the thing is, I addressed my issues with everyone that I had issues with privately, one-on-one with everyone. I suggest you do the same thing. And so she said that to like, she was really talking to Marisol, but I think she was also talking to Larsa. Like, the way you're doing this in public in front of the group, that's team too much. Like, just do it separately if you really want to address the issue. And Marisol was like, well, what about the fact that you didn't have my back? And no response to that. And so we pan over to the men smoking Todd cigars, and they're kind of just like, it's great that we're doing this smoking Todd cigars, but we just, where's Todd? Like, they still are just kind of like, they kind of wish Todd was there. And Gurney's also on the balcony. She ended up going to the balcony with the men too, because she was just over it. And so Russell ends up going to Gurney, and so she ends up going to, Russell ends up going to Gurney, and Gurney's like, I'm just ready to go home. I'm over this. This is just too much fighting, too much conflict. I can't do this. And so everyone's starting to leave. And so Larsa tries to, actually first Dr. Nicole goes to Gurney and realizes Gurney's energy is off. Something's wrong. Something is wrong, and something's been wrong the whole entire time. And Gurney's still just like, I'm going home. I'm over this. And then Larsa approaches her again. But Larsa's like, and Gurney's like, I don't have it in me. I can't do this with you right now. I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And so Gurney just starts breaking down. And she's like, if I need you to be there for me. That's what I need from you. That's simple. And then she just starts crying. She just breaks down. And everyone in the room is super confused. No one knows what's happening. But everyone knows something is wrong. And because it literally is out of nowhere. It went from one extreme to the other. And so then it pans back to the day before the party. Gurney got a call back from her doctor. And she finds out that, she has cancer. She wouldn't say the word. And I don't think it really is clear that she has it. But I saw the previews of the rest of the show, because the previews come on after this for the rest of the season. And spoiler, she does end up having breast cancer. So unfortunately, that's why she was acting the way she was acting at that party. She was still not dealing with it well, not processing it. Because even when she found out the news, talking to her husband and her kids are running around the day before, you could tell she was completely in shock. Like, she couldn't believe it. And but that's where the episode ends, though. Um, Based off the previews, it's going to be a great season. I'm looking forward to this. As you guys probably have noticed, this is like one of my favorite franchises is Real Housewives Miami because of diversity in the cast, and also it's just a different lifestyle than what I can even imagine because Miami is just its own thing. Whereas California, I kind of understand California lifestyle without being a part of it, but I understand it. New York, I kind of understand it enough without being a part of it. Miami, I'm just fascinated by it. So anyway, that does conclude the video. Hopefully you enjoy the review, and like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.